Hey Fifi TV, hey baby. Hey YouTube camera. Alright y'all, we are about to get started. There we go. Alright. I just had to loop the video. Okay. Make sure it's looped right. Yeah, so you guys, I just want to let y'all know that this reading, I'm gonna go ahead and dedicate it to something that I found out today. It was not pleasant news, and I mean, you just have to stay strong. All I know is that, in this life, you just don't know what's gonna happen, and I just plan to just get stronger and stronger, stronger and stronger, even in the midst of tragedy. I've talked with a couple of people, and they're speechless to some information that we all found out. But all I can do is put strength in memory and making people's memories be special. So I'm just going to continue forth and, just see where it takes me. So let's go ahead and start our reading. Thank you, YouTube cameras. I appreciate it. Thank you to Fifi Boo. Yeah. Some things I feel like just happen, and we don't know why. But I think they say time will tell. Hello, hey, self-love yourself. So you guys, okay, let me make sure this music isn't too loud. So we stopped at pretty much one of my favorite characters in the book. Her name is Austin Greer, and she pretty much broke up with her friend with benefits. She did not think highly of their future. Therefore, I think she wanted to have a relationship where she could stand her ground more. Hello, watching from the clouds 9. So y'all, we'll go ahead and get started with chapter 21. I'm sorry if there's any background noise. I'm quite sure it'll clear up soon. Ooh, okay. At Winslow corporate headquarters, I took the elevator up to the 20th floor, hardly able to contain myself. I had finally found my brother. I was so happy. But then again, I was also conflicted. Eric wasn't what I expected, but that made little difference to me now. I had been reunited with someone from my true family, and that's all I cared about. The other stuff I'd concern myself with later. The elevator door slid open. I walked out and practically skipped down the hall towards Sissy's office. Her secretary Tina, her secretary Trina, a young woman with big eyes and blue mascara, stood when she saw me. Good evening, Mr. Winslow. Is Mrs. Winslow expecting? No, I said, happily bowing past Trina. No, I said, happily blowing past Trina. Sissy was sitting behind her desk, wearing a tweed skirt suit, the jacket of which was hung over the back of her leather desk chair. She wore very stylish eyeglass frames. The microphone of a telephone headset was positioned an inch from her full lips. When she saw me, she held up a single finger, gesturing for me to wait. No, that's not good enough, Sissy said. If they can't get the shipment there on time, then find another distributor. Goodbye. Sissy pulled the headset off and tossed it to the desk. Hey sis, I said, walking over to her. Walking over to give her a kiss on the cheek. To what do I owe this pleasure? To what do I owe this pleasant surprise? Smiling, I said, Sissy, we have an addition to our family. Don't tell me my gay brother has knocked up some hoochie and she's suing for child support? Yeah, you wish. Then what? The best news you could ever imagine. You ready? Her arms crossed. Sissy said sarcastically, I'm tingling. I found him. I found our brother. Can you believe it? Really? Sissy said, sounding sincerely excited. Where? It was kind of right under my nose, but I never thought to look there. This morning, I was up at the prison and Kobe, no, Sissy said, taking a concerned step towards me. Tell me he works there. Please, tell me he works there. He's the warden, right? I was at Joylet this morning, I said, ignoring Sissy, and this guy bumped into me. And when I looked up, he's a correction officer. He can be the damn janitor, but when I looked up, enough with the freaking narrative, Kobe, Sissy demanded. Is the guy a convict or not? I paused a moment. Yes, he's an inmate there, Sissy. Okay, Sissy said, going into strategy mode. She placed a line before me. So you found, what's his name? Eric, I said. You found Eric. you're going to visit him in prison for the next 10 years and no one ever has to hear about it. I understand. That's admirable. And as long as word doesn't get out, the family business will be fine. No, sissy. Eric's getting out in 2 days, and I've invited him to move in with me. Sissy started choking. I ran to her and pet her on the back till she stopped. Invited him to live in the mansion to do what? Rob you of everything? Kobe, that's not happening. The other 3 houses are yours. The mansion is mine. I'll have whomever I like. Kobe, please understand nothing good can come from this. At the very least, he won't be the man you think he is. And if this leaks, the public gets a hold of it, then what, sissy? I said, raising my voice. Does this make our products any less viable than they are? Accepting my brother, our brother, that ain't no brother of mine. Will accepting our brother into my home change the people we are? What we and Winslow products stand for? No, Kobe. Then what's the problem? Perception is everything. Public opinion is everything. People get off on this elite family crap. Thank Kennedy's. Thank Clinton's. And the Obamas now. Remember Roger Clinton? Whomever wasn't a good look. What if little Sasha Obama was a pyromaniac, or Manila a convict a juvenile alcoholic? How do you think that would play? If we welcome a convict felon into our home, into our family, we no longer maintain that elite status. Our public perception will suffer. Our sales may suffer. And in times like this, we cannot afford to lose the sale of a single can of Winslow pomade. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? I stood there, angrily absorbing everything my sister said. There were things I wanted to say back to her, but I held my tongue, fearing I'd regret those words. Instead, I waited another couple of seconds till I calmed down and said, I know the circumstances aren't perfect, but he's not who I expected him to be either. We'll deal with it. But I came here to share this wonderful news, not to answer for your not to ask for your permission. Everything will be fine. And if it goes well, Eric, our brother, will be moving into my house in 2 days. I forced a smile. Come by and say hello. I'm sure he'd like to meet you. Hello, M. Renee, hello. An Egyptian goddess, hey baby. Oh, you said, oh, you're 2 minutes behind, but oh, thank you, self-love yourself. Yeah, darling, I'm just gonna try to hold my head high and just stay, strong. I think reading is really fundamental in, times like these. Catherine, hello, boo. Okay, you guys. So looks like Kobe and Eric being twin brothers too. That was something that I think he forgot to mention to Sissy as well. So I think she's going to be quite surprised to know that they look just alike. Chapter 22. It been half an hour since lights out, and lay in his Black lay in his bunk, his arms crossed under his head, staring upward. He was so excited he could not sleep. He might actually survive after his prison release. Up until his last conversation with Eric, Black didn't know if that would be the case. Black was finishing a 4-year prison sentence for drug possession with intent to distribute. Off his last prison bid, he had been out only 4 months, but he couldn't find any kind of work that would give him decent money. The woman he lived with, Theresa, was giving him all kinds of static about contributing financially. So Black had to make some money. If that meant risking going back to prison, so be it. Since Black could remember, jail had always been a possibility. It ran in his family. Black's grandfather was sentenced to life in prison for murdering a white man. When Black was 10, his father tried to rob a guy on the street. The guy happened to be an off-duty police officer. He drew quickly. Then Black's father He drew quicker than Black's father and shot his dad dead. That left Black with his mother, who was just getting into heroin. The reality of her husband's death only got her into it faster. By the time Black was 12, his mother had spent more time on the floors of abandoned drug houses and performing sexual acts for drugs in alleys than she did at home. Black practically raised himself from that point on and did a poor job of it. By the time he was 16, he had been in and out of juvie so frequently they should have given him a key. He did time at 18 for aggravated assault, at 23 for breaking and entering, at 26 for armed robbery and possession of a controlled substance. And now in 4 days, he would be released from his last violation, the possession and distribution rap. It was a good thing nobody ever found out it was him that shot that white man on the north side 10 years ago, or he probably would have been in jail for life. Since he could remember, Black's family had been on one big fucked up ball of hate, anger, hopelessness. and disappointment. But before he was thrown in prison the last time, he thought things would change. As always, he needed money. He had managed to get hooked up with an up and coming drug dealer named Cuddy. Cuddy was short, 5'6" on tippy toes. He had short, buzzed black hair, chocolate milk colored skin, and a lazy eye that made him always look like he was speaking to someone he wasn't. He was in his mid-30s, but with not a strand of hair on his face. He looked like he hadn't even gone through puberty. Cuddy was mean. He was rumored that he had been the one who killed Bookie Bear, the dealer in control of the territory Cuddy now ran. Rumor had it that Cuddy walked up to Bookie in an alley while he was screwing a prostitute in the back seat of his car and struck the 9mm to the back of Bookie's head, firing 2 shots into his skull. Blood painted the screaming woman's face. Cuddy told her to shut up. Cuddy told her to shut her mouth once, and when she wouldn't, he emptied the rest of the magazine in her. At least that's how rumor had it. Back then, Cuddy was trying to make a name for himself, and those were the worst kind of criminal. And those were the what? Oh my God! And those were the worst kind of criminals. The ones with something to prove. At the same time, he was looking for people to distribute his product deeper into the community. Bird, 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 bird. Bird is the word. Hey, bird, baby. Good to see you, boo. Black was down. He would start his own little operation, taking a cut of the drugs he sold for Cuddy. But Black had no startup cash. I don't normally do consignments, Cuddy said one day, puffing on a burnt down nub of a cigar. By considering you ain't got no cash, it's the only way you can get product. You down for that? Hell yeah, Black said, overly excited. Consignment ain't no punk, just so you know, Cuddy said. You don't get my money plus my profit back to me in 10 days, somebody's gonna end up dead, and it won't be me, Cuddy said, smiling. The 3 men standing around him were not. Okay, Black said. No, I really need you to understand this shit, Bones, Cuddy said, snapping his fingers at one of the men. The man who stepped forth was tall, thin, and muscular. He walked over to Black, pulled a Glock from the front of his jeans, and pressed the tip of the barrel flush to Black's temple. Black immediately started to tremble. Bones here is a killer. Like all my men. If I gave the word, he'd put a bullet in your head and wouldn't blink when your blood hits his face. You hear me? Black nodded, trying not to mess himself. He was so nervous. Cuddy waved a hand, and Bones shoved the gun back into his jeans and backed off. That afternoon, Black drove around in Theresa's car with 150,000 worth of crack cocaine in his trunk. Black hadn't known that Theresa's brake lights weren't working. The cops who had been following behind him from 4 blocks finally flashed their lights, hit the siren, and pulled Black over. Because he was nervous as hell, acting more like he had a dead body stashed in the trunk instead of the 150K worth of crack. The cops asked Black to step out and they searched his vehicle. Before being sentenced, Black could have struck a deal, told the cops where the drugs came from, and they would have reduced his sentence considerably. But Black wasn't a snitch. A week into his incarceration, Black was doing laundry when a few other guys. Black was doing laundry with a few other guys. After pulling his clothes out of the dryer, he looked up to find himself suddenly alone. A moment later, 3 hulking, tattooed men with evil expressions walked into the room and stood around him. Yes, Black thought, this was when he died for losing Cuddy's drugs. He set his laundry basket down and tried to accept his fate. Cuddy sent y'all, huh? Yep, one of the men said. He had a dialogue line of scar tissue dissecting his face. Okay, let's get this shit over with, Black said. Cuddy sent us to thank you for not ratting him out. He suspended your deadline while you locked up, the man said. And while you're in, you ain't got nothing to worry about from these fools in here. Cuddy got your back, 'cause you work for him now. Really? Black said gratefully. Okay, right. But like I said, Cuddy suspending your deadline. He ain't wiping that shit away. You lost $150,000 worth of his product. Snitch or not, you still owe him. So you get out, that's 10-day clock. So you get out, that 10-day clock gonna start ticking, and you gonna need to get him back his money, or some outcome applies. Oh no, I'm sorry. Or same outcome applies, the man said, holding his hand as though he were pointing a gun. You're gonna end up dead. As Black laid in the dark on the bunk above Eric, he was thankful for the man sleeping beneath him. Eric said this newfound brother of his, Kobe, was filthy loaded. Black didn't know how he had capitalized on this situation, but he was a criminal, a swindler, a manipulating thief. His father was before him, his grandfather before that, and the line could have continued even as far back as slave days. Black knew Eric and his rich brother Kobe were just about his best and last hope of staying alive. Oof, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. So, as we see, Black is not a good person. We can just kind of say that. I mean, he's following apparently in generations of villains' footsteps. This is not good for Kobe, Eric, or Sissy. So Sissy is totally right. This is not no good idea because Black got a hell of a lot with him. What? So I mean, I kind of knew that he wasn't going to get killed in that laundry room because it was something about him not snitching that went along with me too, because this guy Cuddy, seemed to be so ruthless that I was like, I don't think he would just, usually if you get somebody that's not going to snitch, and the way that they said it, yeah, it kind of put Black in a space that I feel was going to keep him alive. But the risk that you take, I tell you. Let me drink some water, you guys. Okay. Chapter 23. Austin stood by the door of her condo, her arms folded across her chest, as a couple of burly men in brown uniforms moved out the last two dining room chairs. She had posted pictures of the antique table and chairs for sale at $3,000 on Craigslist. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. 10 minutes later, the phone calls started pouring in. The first to arrive was a young couple, a tall, thin, boyish-faced doctor and his pregnant wife. The two walked in and their faces lifted up when they saw the tables and chairs. "It's beautiful," Austin heard the woman say to her husband as she lovingly rubbed her round belly. "Yeah, it is," he said, then turned to Austin. 3,000, right?" "Yes, the price is firm," Austin said. Austin shut the door, then pulled the thin wab of 30 crisp $100 bills from her jeans pocket, and fingered them as she walked towards the living room and dining room. She stopped all of a sudden in the empty space, feeling a chill. She looked up from the money in her hands to the room to see that the room was as completely bare as the day she bought the place. All she had now was her bedroom furniture and a small flat screen that stood on the chest of drawers. How long before she would have to sell that? Where would she sleep after that? On the floor? Would she even have a floor underneath her to consider? Or would the bank have taken her place by then? Austin felt a single tear crawl down her face. She swatted at it angrily with the back of the hand holding the money, feeling as if allowing herself to cry would be admitting that she was defeated. She was up to her neck in it this time, but there had to be a way out. Austin took a step toward the bedroom when a knock came at her door. She opened the door, expecting the young couple to tell her they had forgotten something. Who Austin saw standing in her doorway was a tall, beautiful woman wearing a sharp, tailor-made suit. Beside her stood an even taller, well-built man wearing a chauffeur's uniform and dark glasses. Austin Greer, the woman said, "My name is Sissy Winslow. May I come in? I have an important proposition for you." Wow. You know what? So y'all, I'm gonna make this notion, and I think I'm gonna read one more chapter today. But this kind of brings me back to Invisible Life. That was Elin Harris's first book. So I know that this is just a little reference, but I just want to bring note to it. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but the beautiful dark chocolate women, they end up with the gay guy. I don't know why. Oh, just but this is only with this perspective of like Elin Harris's books. I don't know why I noted that, but that's what happened in Invisible Life. With Raymond Tyler. I mean, he was with a dark chocolate beauty, and now Austin is coming around, and she's dark and lovely, and here we are. So I don't know. I just wanted to point that out. It's just ironic. I'll say that. So before we get to our last chapter, you guys, I'm just gonna drink some water. And then we're just going to discuss it just a tad bit because this is something else. Okay. Chapter 24. Loosening the gold diamond print tie around my neck, I stared down at the criminal file of the young man I would be prosecuting. His name was Raymond Williams. He was 23 years old. In his house was found $100,000 of marijuana. He was charged with possession with intent to distribute. He had no prior offenses, but still, I would make it my business to ensure he served time in jail. If the warrant wanted me to walk him to his cell myself, turn the key and toss it down a sewer drain, I could do it and have no problems closing my eyes at night. What I knew would keep me up from this case was the fact that the house where the drugs were found was not Raymond's, but his grandmother's. Raymond's mother was in prison herself, had been for some time. Raymond's grandmother allowed the young man to live in her house, the house her late husband had paid off while working on railroads. Not until police officers wearing armed vests, riot gear, and carrying high powered weapons bust through her door did she know that her grandson was using her home for drug storage. Raymond's grandmother had lived in that house for 50 years, but now it was scheduled to be seized by the city of Chicago. I dragged a hand down my face and flipped the file closed. I was disgusted. I wondered if I was placing myself in a similar situation, welcoming my brother I did not know into my home. I had been up all night battling those thoughts, as well as the warnings Sissy gave me, which played over and over in my head. But I told myself I had done the right thing. He was my brother, and he needed a place to stay, to get back on his feet. It was what I wanted to do. A knock came at the door. "Come in," I said, knowing who it was and wishing I had not interrupted his day by asking him to come over. Tyler stepped through the door, looking as handsome as ever, wearing a $1 million smile. Knowing me better than I always thought he did, he immediately walked across the room with concerned eyes and stood beside me. "Baby, you okay? You look exhausted." He leaned down and gave me a kiss on the lips. I thought, I know he meant for it to be longer, but I pulled away. "I'm fine. Just tired is all. Didn't sleep much last night." Tyler walked back around to the front of my desk and had a seat in the guest chair. "Tell me what's bothering you." I looked in his eyes and saw how sincere his request was. It was one of the reasons I loved this man. This was supposed to be a happy occasion when I told This was supposed to be a happy occasion when I told you this. Told me what? I mean, I put so much effort into. A wide smile brightened Tyler's face. "You found your brother in prison," I said, deflected. "Locked up for a crime he wouldn't tell me about." "You spoke to him?" "Yes." "And?" "He gets paroled tomorrow." Tyler sighed, a perplexed look on his face. "How are you going to play it? I mean, Kobe, you have options. You don't owe. He needs a place." Kobe, Kobe, what did you promise him?" "I told him he could stay with me." "Sissy tore you a new one, huh?" I couldn't help but smile a little. "Of course. I mean, he's in prison for a reason." "I'll pick him up tomorrow and take him to my house. I'm actually supposed to go there later today to see him and give him some information he asked me for." "Am I crazy?" Tyler smiled, that comforting smile that always makes me feel more relaxed. He stood and opened his arms. "Come here." I walked around my desk and into his embrace. In answer to In answer to your question, hell yes, you're crazy, but you're always but you're also caring and thoughtful and charitable. And if I were him, I would thank God that I had a brother like you. I'm sure you have nothing to worry about, and everything will be fine. Famous last words, I said. Famous last words. Tyler smiled. I wrapped my arms around him, smoothed my hands over the back muscles under his suit jacket. I need to see you tonight. I can't take in the wife and girls to Citrus Dal Sul. I leaned out of the hug without taking my arms from around him. Tyler, what are we doing? Don't, he said. Don't what? This discussion. You have great news. You found your brother. You have to deal you have that to deal with. And I have enough work to keep me locked up round the clock. So let's not go back into the what are we doing discussion, okay? Can we just leave that alone for a while? Oh, okay, you guys. So this right here is quite it's quite compelling, I gotta say. Kobe is getting ready for the arrival of his brother, and I just wish that everything could be fine, but we all know that Black is in the background. Oh, self-love yourself. You said, I'm thinking that the sister might try to get Eric, the brother, to marry Austin to make it look like her. Oh, yeah, her brother Kobe married Austin to save the family face. That's a good prediction to self-love yourself, because I keep forgetting that they are twins. Hey, the Sage, good to see you, the Sage. Thank you for joining us, buddy. Yeah, so I mean that could happen. Um, I guess I don't know what to think, and yeah, they did just have this conversation with Austin, which I guess we kind of um thought up, that Austin is a character and in this book for a reason, and with her situation, I'm quite sure she's going to take that offer. I really don't think she has a choice at this moment in time. I feel that Black has no other choice but to be the villain. Like, it's in his traits, and he doesn't look like the type that is going to change. So I don't know. You know what? I'm going with one more chapter, you guys, because 25. All right. Chapter 25. Eric stood in the prison's recreation room, leaning on his pool cue, waiting for Black to take a shot at the 8-ball. Normally, Eric would have whooped Black and left him with at least 5 balls on the table, but today Eric had things on his mind. Wearing a white wife beater that contrasts sharply with his dark skin, Black leaned over the table, sized up his shot, then looked up at Eric. This your ass. 8-ball corner pocket. Make the shot, Then talk, Eric said. Black held his pose stretched over the table, then stood straight and glanced down at his watch. Dude, what are you doing? Eric said, aggravated, agitated. You taking the shot or what? Didn't you say your brother was supposed to come here like an hour and a half ago? Yeah, so what? You taking the shot or not? Black laid his stick on the table. So what's up? Did you call and say he wasn't coming? Oh, did he call and say he wasn't coming? No, but what does that have to do with you? Why you so concerned about whether or not this man showed up? I'm concerned because I'm your boy. And the other day, you was all tiptoeing on air, singing and dancing about how you got a brother and how you gonna live with him. I wasn't doing all that. You need to find out what's going on. Maybe he realized he made a mistake by calling on me, by telling me all that stuff and asking me to live at his place. And to tell you the truth, hell, I don't blame him. Eric turned, ready to walk out. Black rushed over, grabbed him by the arms. So you just giving up on that? Black, what the hell you want me to do? Call him? I ain't got his number. Go by. I ain't got his number. Go by his house? I don't even know where that fool live. It's over, okay? Eric turned away and headed toward the rec room door. Black called out to him. Yo, just tell yourself he gonna be outside that gate tomorrow, waiting for you in a stretch Mercedes or something. You gotta do that. The power of positive thinking and all of that stuff, right? Right, Eric said as he continued out the door. Yeah, so y'all, Black is determined to keep himself alive. He does not care about Eric's little girl. He doesn't care about Eric's family. Black doesn't have much to live for. I mean, it is what it is. He doesn't really. All he is living upon is what he owes a man. So in the midst of that, he could definitely become very careless as well as more dark. So I am very intrigued to see where this story is gonna go. All I can say is power and many blessings to the Winslows, because they're in for a treat for all of these activities that are about to occur. This proposition with Austin, what exactly is it? And we all can see that Black is not only introduced in as a criminal character, but I think that he is shaping himself as being quite a villain within this novel. So I am quite pleased with the reading today, everyone, and I really appreciate you all for joining me. Please let me know what you think about everything, and where you may feel this story is headed. And I appreciate you all too for talking with me earlier. All your care is definitely taken in and appreciated. So I'll be talking with you soon. What a great read so far, I gotta say. Let me turn this music off and play out our Lyrica. We can't take it personal. Thank you. Yes, self-love yourself. I appreciate it, boo. I've really been trying to do the best I can with just providing better dialogue and quality. Yeah, so y'all please take care of yourselves, and we gotta, try our best to not take people in our lives for granted, or if you see something that has changed in someone, try to make a note of telling them that you care, because you never know when you may not be able to tell them anymore. Good night, Catherine. Yes, I will see you tomorrow morning. Self-love yourself. Y'all have a great night. Absolutely, my self-love yourself. That comprehension is a morning must. All right, everybody. Peace, and I love you all.